If we are to properly lead our households, we must properly understand the purpose of our households. Welcome to Yesterday Was Easy. Picking back up where I left off in the last episode, I want to continue to lay the foundation for biblical fatherhood. In order to do so, I need to start with defining God's created household, and will then explain the purpose of the household. Just for clarity, and I hate that I even have to do this, but this is where we find ourselves in this current culture. A proper household starts with a nuclear family consisting of a biological man, the husband, and a biological woman, the wife, and Lord willing, multiple children. But a household also encompasses much more than this. It also includes anyone living collectively in that house, like servants and extended family, and any property, wealth, or inheritance belonging to this entity. A household should not end with the death of the father, but carry on down the line generationally. Household or family government is God's second ordained sphere of government, extending larger than the individual sphere. This is even modeled in God's created order for his people. You have Christ, the groom, and the church, his bride, and then we, of course, as Christians, are his children and receive his inheritance. This is even modeled in God's created order for his people. You have Christ, the groom, and the church, his bride, and then we, of course, as Christians, are his children and receive his inheritance. This is the whole story of history, his story. The groom is pursuing his bride until the great wedding day. At that moment, the bride will become glorified and receive her inheritance, and together they will rule the cosmos or the created order. When we love our wives like Christ loved the church, and our wives respect us like the church respects Christ, we illustrate for our children and for the world a picture of the end of history. Each household, including God's, has its own economy, which in the Greek is literally house law, house, oikos, and law, nomos. Just like theonomy, theos, God, and nomos, law, or God's law, and autonomy, autos, self, nomos, law, again, or self-law. God's created order, then, centers around the household. This is his divine design, and the war for the cosmos, therefore, starts with the household. This is why biblical homes are constantly under attack, not just from the culture, but from Satan himself. He understands that dismantling and redefining the sphere of government allows him to win some battles. Of course, we know he will not win the war, but he can and has throughout history had minor victories along the way. Just look at where he appears to be currently winning in our culture: gay mirage, abortion, government schools, drag queen story hours, etc. They are all an attack on God's design for the household. The description of C.R. Wiley's book, The Household and the War for the Cosmos, states, "Your household is not just a shelter from a war zone. It is the command center from where you launch your attacks. It's the vision of the world with the Christian family at the heart that modern parents desperately need to recover." As I mentioned in the last episode, our very existence, the breath God gives us to breathe, serves a purpose greater than ourselves, greater than our families, greater than our churches, and greater than our nations. Whether we like it or not, we are all participating in the war for the cosmos. You are either aiding Christ in his inevitable victory, or are assisting the enemy in fortifying the gates of hell, which, as we know, will not prevail against the church. There is no neutral position, no trench deep into no man's land in which to find shelter, no middle ground. You are either for Christ or against him. Neutrality is a myth. This, of course, is not only relegated to the individual sphere of government, but extends to the other spheres as well. Your family is not neutral, your church is not neutral, and your government, as we are currently seeing, surely is not neutral either. The Apostle John told us in 1 John 3:8 that the reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. And in Colossians 1:19 through 20, writing about Christ, the Apostle Paul said, "For in him all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether on earth or in heaven, making peace by the blood of his cross." So, winning the war for the cosmos looks like Christ destroying the works of the devil, reconciling all things to himself, and making peace by the blood of his cross. Christ will accomplish all of this, and he does so through his people. We are the means by which he accomplishes all of his purposes, and we need to start thinking of our families in this light. I am concerned that Christian men have become too narrowly focused on the here and now when it comes to their families and not the big picture. I believe we need to have a more holistic, comprehensive view of our families. We absolutely should strive to excel at the 4 P's of family shepherding and to do so to the glory of God. But at the same time, we should also understand the reason we are striving to accomplish this. So many excellent God-fearing men I know have this part on lock, but sadly, I think they are missing the why. We catechize our children to know by heart what man's primary purpose is: to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. Yes, and amen. But bringing up our children in the fear and admonition of the Lord, all to His glory, is only part of it. That is the immediate, day to day goal that we should strive for every morning before we lift our heads off our pillows, and every evening before our heads hit those same pillows. In other words, every waking moment. But there is more. There is a greater purpose. We are raising up our children as arrows to send out into the world, and we shoot them forth towards the gates of hell. If you have been blessed as I have been, you too are generations deep in this war for the cosmos. My prayer every night is that I would be able to pass the same heritage down to my children that has been bestowed upon me. And not just my children, but also to my children's children. My plea to God is that He would save all of my offspring until the end of time, and not just save them, but also use them to reconcile all things to Himself. I ask that they would be but a means to the end of the works of Satan. Andrew Sandlin said, "If you try to break God's physical cosmic laws like gravity and thermodynamics, you'll end up breaking yourself. If you try to break God's institutional cosmic laws for the household, you'll get the same result. How you manage your household will have a cosmic effect. No one understands that. You are never out of this fight whether you like it or not. Be broken over this reality or get broke. Yesterday was easy. Go to war for the cosmos. Stay hard."